Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Now in this video we are going to be talking about MySQL databases, etc. So if you have like no prior experience of dealing with databases, I'll tell you from scratch what a database means. It means nothing DBMS, like database management systems. It basically means that there is going to be a database and you're going to have to manage it. Manage in the sense create new records, new tables, etc, etc, etc. So basically what database is, let us say in our school days or in college we used to appear for the roll calls, the attendance thing. So what it basically is a register, and in that register you have various pages, and in each page you have like the names are written according to like roll number or alphabetically in some order, and then the teacher will like tell your name, and if you are present in the class they'll mark you as present, or otherwise they'll mark you as absent. So basically, that is kind of a table where you have a roll number column, then there's a name column, and there are different dates to mark whether you were present or absent on that particular date. So basically, this tabular structure is nothing but structured data that has structure. So similarly, we have this tables in database. Now, how do you create databases and how do you create tables? There are SQL queries. So considering that some of you might not have any prior experience with databases, I'll just go ahead and open my PHPMyAdmin. If you don't have PHPMyAdmin installed, you can go back to the second or third video in this series where we talk about installing PHPMyAdmin on your machines. I'll just go ahead and create a database, meaning named attendance. Now you can create this using SQL queries as well. So the good idea while learning SQL would be to actually use the UI and then see the queries that are executed. So for creating a database, create database is the command followed by the database name. So right now this table attendance database has no table. So let us say my class is CSE, so I'll just create a CSE table, which means that the like students of CSE will be there in this table. Now what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll create some columns in it. That columns will be like roll number, name, and let us say email ID, for example. So I'll say roll number. So roll number is going to be a integer which is going to be assigned automatically. So I'll just set it as auto incremented value, which will be the primary key as well. So the first record that we insert will have roll number 1, second record will have roll number 2, third record will have roll number 3, and so on. The next thing I want here is student name, which would be a character. So I'll just say varchar, and the length can be 255 characters would be more than sufficient to occupy any name, I guess. And it can be null. Okay, so null means basically there may or may not be a value in its place. So I'll just do another thing. I'll say email ID, or I can say practical batch, and I'll say practical batch again ABCD, which will be a varchar which won't exit one character, but for safety I'll say just 4 characters, and I'll say null again. And this is it. This is our little table. I can also add, like, let us say email ID, so which will be a varchar again of 255 length, which can be null again. So yeah, so I have created this database table named CSE, which has the structure. So the structure can be seen over here: roll number, student name, practical batch, and email ID. So basically we can have like the insert statements where we type insert into CSE, uh, whatever values are, then values and the name of the columns, which is student name, practical batch, and email ID. So I'll just insert Ajinkya Bhavaskar, and I'll do practical batch C, and my email ID would be ajinkya@example.com. we can create another student, let's say Manali Modi, although she is not in CSE, but still we can assume she would be in girls batch, which is A, Manali @example.com. Okay, so now we have inserted two records in our database, so which you can see like on the screen. So this is the query that is executed. Insert into CSE, roll number, student name, practical batch, email ID, and the values will be null, Ajinkya Bhaskar, C, a@example.com, comma, which will be from here it is another record. So if I now browse this table in database CSE or table name CS, database name attendance, table name CSE, you can see the two rows are inserted over here. So that is pretty much it about this. If you want to know more about how SQL works, about how to write queries, you can definitely go into depth. Might be I'll make another video especially on MySQL and how to write queries and all, but for the time being you need to know how SQL works. So this is how it works. So in the next part of this video, from now on, we'll see how do we use PHP to insert or to execute the same thing. So we are gonna use PHP PDO for that purpose. A PHP PDO meaning data object, and data objects are used in order to interact with database. Now there are like different methods of using PHP to interact with MySQL database. So first one being MySQLi or MySQL as some people call it. So this is basically a PHP library kind of thing which we can use to interact with database, but it is vulnerable to various security attacks and threats. So the more secure way and more organized way of doing is PHP data objects, PHP PDO, and even more secure way of using PDOs is with prepared statements. So basically, what are prepared statements? So we'll look into all of these things shortly. So guys, we are gonna see how do we actually connect with our database. Okay, so for that we have some kind of setup. So the first thing that is very sensitive is your database credentials. So in your default installation, your username is root and your password is blank. So this is a variable. So we use the PHP define function to declare some constants. So now I have created these two constants. Now we have our database type. It can be your Oracle SQL or PostgreSQL or any other database driver. So we are using MySQL, so our database driver will be MySQL. Then our host will be 127.0.0.1, which is your local host, and DB name is attendance. So I'm just gonna write attendance. Okay, so I have written attendance here. So these are some constants that are defined in DB keys. Again, I have this file called env.php, meaning environment.php, which basically means that depending on your server, you should be storing the keys. Now that we are on localhost, and if I save the keys over here, then it's fine. But if you are running this on an actual production server, then what will happen is if you store your database keys and other sensitive credentials in the document root itself, it might be vulnerable to some kind of attacks. So what you have to do is you have to store your credentials somewhere outside the document root. So as you can see here, so if I am deploying my website on example.com, then I am storing it outside the document root. I'm storing it in home/ubuntu/dbkeys.php. And this is the error reporting functions which I have written, which are not necessary to be written at all. So this says that if you are like working on your local host, you want to see all the errors that occur, but if you are using on production machine, then no error should be displayed to users, because hackers might use this error information to get more idea about how your backend works. So what you have to do is you have to disable the error reporting and you have to change the location of database keys. Again, then in my database connect file, what I have done is I have included this env file so that I get the database keys, as you can see. So in env right now my server will be localhost. That is why I'll be requiring this dbkeys.php. So dbkeys, which means this file. So I have these constants defined now. Next, I have the DB tables, in which I'm gonna define another constant by the name of, let's say, computer, and I'm gonna set that value as CSE, which is the name of our table, right? So I have included the table names and I have included the database keys. Now this is the DB connect file or database connect file. So database connection, so we basically take all these variables over here, and then what we do is we actually create a connection using the, so basically this is oops code, so I'll just walk you through this. So this is basically a database, the name of our class, which extend the PHP PDO class. Now PDO class will have certain methods such as prepare, bind value, execute, fetch all, etc., which the objects of database class can use. Okay, so constructor again is the first method that is called whenever the object of a particular class is created. So whenever we will create the let us say objects of this class, so what we are gonna do is we are gonna create a new what we can say database. So this constructor method will be called. So what we are gonna do is we're gonna remove these dollars, which will make them as constants. So if I remove this, it will become a constant, or I can do one thing, this constructor will take no arguments at all, and we can remove this a dollar, so that these become constants that we defined in the dbkeys.php file. So now db name, db user, and database password. So this will be the constructor. So this object of PDO class, as you can see, parents constructor will be called, and with the given credentials a database object will be created. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna have some kind of method. So basically we have this simple query method, or I can say select method. So I can say query. So this is a basic query method. So name of this method is query, which can be called from outside the function since it is set to public outside the class. So yeah guys, so this is it. And what we are actually doing is taking an SQL, which is a string, and we are taking array, which is data. So we'll come to this later. And the fetch mode is associative mode, so we get the associative array. So I'll give you an example. Now we are in our test.php. I'll quickly cut the windows in half. Okay, so now we are here and hello database is being displayed. So what we are gonna do next is we are gonna require some files. Can you guess which files those are? Basically these are database files, database slash db connect.php. So yeah, now I have included the database connect.php. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create, let us say, a test PDO object, or let us say test object is equal to new database, and I'm gonna create this object over here. Now object is created, whether it is created or not, you can do this by seeing the variable dump. It will show what is the structure of that object, etc. So I'm just gonna come over here, hit refresh, and you can see that object of database class is created. Now we have this object. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna write a simple query $SQL, which means select star from what is my table name. So for including the table name, what we're gonna do is we're gonna append it with computer. Since computer is a what I can say constant, it is why we don't require any dollar to access it. So it will be like select star from computer, again semicolon, this is our entire string, and SQL. So if I just go ahead and if I say echo $SQL, so you can come over here and you can see that select star from CSA is the query that we generated. Now we have to execute this query. So how are we gonna do that? So for that, what we can do is we can actually go ahead and create call that select or query method. So we know that we have a database method called as query. So what we are gonna do is we are gonna say dollar result is equal to test object, and we're gonna run this query using, like, we are gonna call the function named query using the arrow operator, and I'll say in this we have to write SQL is equal to, and we have to pass this SQL a blank array, and the fetch mode will be detected automatically. So we can write it like this as well, no issues. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna print this result variable to see whether our database connection is set up properly or not. Okay, so select star from computer and print underscore r result. So why am I seeing, okay, print underscore r. Okay, so if I refresh this, as you can see, we have gotten an array. So to view this array in a more efficient format, there's a little tick in PHP or in HTML which we call as pre-tag. So what happens is whatever thing you write in this, it will be displayed as it is generated. So it will be kind of easy for us to view this data from there. So yeah, so I have wrapped this in pre-tags, and as you can see we have an array with keys 0 and 1, and we have received the first array as roll number 1, student name Ajinkya Bavaskar, practical batch is C, and email ID is given. So as you can see, these records that were there in my database, these are being displayed as arrays in PHP. So this is how you establish a connection with database using PDO. So what we are doing is basically we are preparing an SQL statement out of the string, SQL string, which is this one, and then we are binding the value. So basically we didn't pass anything in this array, we just sent this array as empty. But what happens, I'll show you how, and then we are executing this statement, right? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a where clause here, where, let us say, roll number is equal to roll number. So for that we'll use named placeholder, and what this basically means is that roll number will be equal to some roll number, and this roll number, this particular thing, this will be replaced when we run the bind value command. So while binding value, we'll be using this array. So for that, what are we gonna do is we're gonna come to this array and we are gonna say roll number, and we have to say that the person whose roll number is 0 or a person whose roll number is 1, I only want those records. So select star from computer, select everything from CSE where roll number is equal to 1. So if I refresh this now, as you can see, only the person with roll number 1 has been displayed here. So if I only want the name of the person who has student name from computer where roll number is 1. So if I now refresh this, I'm only gonna get the student name. So yeah, I hope this is clear. If you want some like other things, if I want, let us say again, if I want everything, so for that I'll do star, select start from computer where roll number is equal to 2. So now all the Manali's record will be displayed over here. So yeah, I think there was some issue back where I said student name. Yeah, so student name is Manali Modi. Yeah, so everything is working just fine, just as we expected. So this is how you guys have to query the database. Similarly, this is a simple select query. You can write the insert, update and delete queries in the similar manner. Now again, creating SQL like this might be vulnerable. You can do, like, there are a number of more things that you can do for enhancing the security of your application. but this should take you like to a decent level of security as well. So this is how you retrieve like things. So again, if you don't know what the exact name of that person is, what I'll do is I'll have some kind of new thing in this. So I'll just say that name is equal to Manali. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over here and I'm gonna say echo dollar underscore get name. So I want to see if I can get this name Manali. So as you can see here, Manali name is displayed. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say name is equal to dollar underscore get name. So name variable will contain whatever name we pass. So what are we gonna do is we are gonna say where student name like, and we're gonna pass the student name. So what we have to do is we have to go back to this array and we have to say student name like dollar name. So yeah, let us see if this works. So yeah, this isn't working, so I'll just go ahead and I'll say dollar echo dollar SQL so that I can see what kind of query is being generated. So select star from CSV where student name like student name. So what we can do over here is actually have this set as percentage, which is a basically a wildcard, like anything before and after with this name can be accepted. This is not PHP MySQL thing, this is purely a database SQL thing. So if you are confused, you can just go ahead and search for PHP where like clause and you can see the results. So if I refresh this, as you can see, I didn't enter the entire name, I just entered Manali. Even if I enter, let us say Bavaskar, so there is no such entry with Bavaskar, but name containing Bavaskar, so my name will be displayed here. So as you can see, we can query the database using different get variables as well. So if I go ahead and if I change this to Ajinkya, I'll get the entire student name, or if I say everything. So if I refresh this, so yeah, all the records of the name Ajinkya are shown here. So this is it guys, a basic introduction of PHP and how to you execute the SQL queries. So this is it for the video guys. In next video we'll start working on the PHP internship portal thing. So we'll have some kind of sign up forms that we are gonna run in order to create user accounts. So see you in the next video guys. Thank you so much for watching.